Actually, a few ministers under our side did resign.
Order. No, we're now New Zealand First has the call. Are you taking the call?
No, sir, I'm not.
You're not? Okay, well, that's all right. No, we're moving on to, I'm calling up Marama Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, Mr. Speaker, I know today everything is all about the sheep, and while I have some sympathy for Mr. Parker and the report that's been put out, that's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about something else. I'm going to talk about a very significant day in New Zealand history. I'm going to talk about the 28th of October, and people is looking around right now going, 28th of October? What the heck happened on the 28th of October? Well, it was actually the anniversary of my maiden speech, but no, that was not the historic day. Well, history's yet to tell, but hey, the 28th of October is also my wedding anniversary. And while that is rather significant, 28 years, just saying, nice ring, thank you, darling. I bought it for myself and said, this is what you got me. Anyway, that is not the historic day. The 28th of October is in fact the day in which we remember the whakaputanga, or the signing of the Declaration of Independence that made this country its own sovereign state. Well, recognised it at least in the eyes of the British, because they're the ones who drew it up. We already knew it was a sovereign state. We didn't need anybody to tell us. We lived here. Anyway, the 28th has now been made a historic day that everyone in this nation, Mr. Speaker, is going to have the pleasure of celebrating together as a nation, because it is time we grew up. It is time that this nation recognised its history with all its warts, with the good and the bad and everything that has come from it since, and how that then impacts upon our future. Because the 28th of October has now been set aside, the day that we will remember in time or memorial, the Rā Maumahara for our land wars. That's correct. Now, I have to recognise the petition from the Otarahanga students who came here to Parliament, because this certainly was the impetus that convinced the Minister, the Right Honourable Maggie Barry, that yes, something needs to be done. And there on the forecourt of Parliament, she committed to that crowd of people, all of those waka taua who came in and did this massive haka on the forecourt, that she would commit to finding a day and finding a way forward to ensure that all of New Zealand remembers the land wars, where thousands of people, in fact more we understand than died in both the First and Second World War from New Zealand, were killed during the land laws or the civil war that saw the establishment of this nation. It saw the confiscation of lands. It saw the rise of the peaceful protest that then inspired Gandhi and Martin Luther King here in Aotearoa with Te Whiti and Tohu Kākahi. And on the 5th of November, instead of celebrating terrorism, instead of celebrating a terrorist act where somebody tried to blow up Parliament, and for years they burned an effigy of this man and thought that that was fun, what a fun night out that would be. Instead of doing that, let's celebrate Parihaka Day and remember what went on here, because these are the scars that are left upon our nation. Mr. Speaker, I travelled to Ngarawahia this year to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the koroneihana of King Tuheitia, and on one of those celebration days there was a gifting back of land that was taken after a battle at Rangiriri, the first of its kind. And while I was there on the forecourt of Mahinarangi Marae, on the Aotea, a kuia looked at me and said, Marama, it's easy to find where the battle sites of Aotearoa are. The road goes straight through them. No hallowed ground, no place to remember, no plaque, no grave, no memorial. But now we have a day on the 28th of November where we as a nation can grow up and open up and discuss the issues that have plagued us all in the settling of this nation. That is the rā maumahara, the rangi e whakamaumahara atu I ngā pakanga o tēnei whenua. Mr. Speaker, that's our speech. It's not sheep, but it is important, and I look forward to celebrating the rā maumahara in the future.